Hello, welcome to my weekly vlog, Debra, Keirce Art Journey. Just a couple of ideas today for you about limited palettes and why they're useful to experiment with or to, if you choose to use indefinitely. I am inspired today by James McNeill Whistler. A work in progress that I'm working on is a small, his was 54 inches by 64 inches, mine is obviously smaller, version of my take on, or my inspiration from his piece on his Whistler's mother's painting. And if you know anything about this painting, you know the story behind it, or one of them, is that he was actually doing a study of value patterns with his work. And so he was using a very limited palette and looking at, the various value shapes within his composition. And it occurs to me that when you're working in a limited palette, you can very quickly see those beautiful value patterns. Also, create probably arguably better balances in your composition. I also think it's a quicker, faster way to paint when you're using a limited palette, because you're not making as many. You're making lots of color decisions, but you're not doing as much mixing. Now, Anders Zorn is arguably the most famous limited palette artist out there, and his palette was yellow ochre, cadmium red, ivory black, and white. He used the ivory black, of course, as his cool color, the blue, and if you mix it ivory black with white and yellow ochre, you get a green. So when you choose your limited palette, if you're doing this, choose a warm color and a cool color at the very least, and usually some darkening, either an umber or a black or a white, to make things, to adjust your values. And when you do this, the cool thing about it is your color harmonies. It's really hard to mess them up. It's really hard to have muddy colors. It's really hard to overmix when you have a limited palette. So it's almost like training wheels. So it's a good thing, especially if you're a beginning artist, I think, to check it out. See if there's all kinds of limited palette exercises on the internet, and find one that works for you. Hope that's helpful. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.